Hello, everyone, and welcome to Building Authentic Collaboration from the Start. I am Stephanie Rothstein, and I am so excited to be here at Pear Fair. If you need it, there is a bit.ly for this presentation, and it's right at the top of the screen. So it is bit.ly/PearSteph, all lowercase. So again, I am Stephanie Rothstein. So happy to be a part of this, and thank you so much for joining this presentation. I'm an education innovation leader at Santa Clara Unified School District in Northern California, and I serve all 30 schools in the school district with students K through 12, and we have about 15,000 students in the school district. I am a writer, a speaker, a consultant. I'm a Pear Deck Coach. Woohoo! Go Pear Deck Coaches. I'm a Google Innovator trainer and coach and an Adobe Creative Educator. And again, I could not be more excited to be a part of this at the start of the school year. There is so much that takes place at the start of a school year, as you know. I am 20 years into education, and every school year looks a little bit different and feels a little bit different. But I always know that I would have new students in my classroom, and that really what I needed to do in order to be the best teacher that I could be in that space is provide an opportunity to connect with my students and help them learn how to connect and collaborate with one another. So I want to show you what I did as an educator and what has helped me, and that I hope will help you too. So one of the things that I did was I created canwetalkedu.com, and I'll take you through it in just a minute. But I was that teacher where I was always giving personality assessments, things that would help me get to know my students a little bit better at the very start of a school year. But what I wanted was a way that once I had that information, what do I do with it? What do I have students do with it? And how do I use it in a way that feels authentic and has other people understand themselves better, has students understand the people that they're working with better, and really has us return to using it throughout the entire school year so that it doesn't just feel like a one and done. So as you can see here, there are 4 different colors that are listed here or that are shown here on this slide. And I'm going to explain to you what those 4 colors are in just a second. When you're on the Can We Talk EDU website, so there's a website that has a ton of material about what I'm going to go over. And I'm just going to give you a little snippet of it just to help us understand a bit of background for the presentation. So this website has a whole presentation on it that reviews the colors that I'm about to explain. And it also then shows you where you can go to take the personality survey. So if you're familiar with the True Colors survey, it's a Ketterman survey from 1972. It is rooted in research and it is tried and true. And I have tried them all out there. And I love this one for students because I think that it is simple enough that no matter the age of the student, it really is accessible, but it also can be utilized by adults. So I appreciate that. So you can take the digital version of the survey here. There's an adult version and a version if you have elementary or younger students that might need a shorter amount of questions. And then there's things that we can do with it. So again, as I mentioned, there are 4 colors for this survey, and then we're going to use those colors to do a ton of activities. So I'm going to take you back here. So for the 4 colors, we have gold, green, blue, and orange. And after you or your students take the survey, they're emailed their results of the survey. And so it'll show them what are their overall points for in each of the categories. And so they likely will have one category that kind of rises to the top for them. So if they are a gold, our golds tend to be our rule followers. They really feel good with having a structure. I tend to call those my like bumper bowling lane students, that they really feel solid and secure by knowing what are the parameters of a situation. They like to know deadlines, and they often are our students that are asking, is this right to a teacher? Our greens are our big thinker, big picture, visionary students that often are asking really deep questions. And so really for a green, the biggest question is why. And they want to make sure that anytime they are venturing on doing anything, that they understand the true reason behind it. And so that is going to be really important for a green. Our blues are our feelers. So they often are ones that they are thinking first with their heart, and they want to know that they are connected to the people around them and that the people around them are also safe and seen and heard. And then our oranges are often our people who maybe are less fearful of getting up right away in front of a class or presenting. They seem to most of the time be driven by competition, or they really like when there's action in a space, and they like to move quickly from topic to topic. So, with all of this, what do we do with this information? The reason I wanted to go over this with you is because I use it for every single thing in my classroom, and it has helped me so much over the years. And I have presented it to lots of teachers who have really enjoyed using it in their rooms. And so I hope that you will as well. So, back on the Can We Talk EDU site, all of the resources that I'm reviewing with you are here, and I've also linked them in the presentation. But you can find this and so much more under resources. If you just click right here, there's a whole set of resources that explains how you can do this and a whole lot more. And I've just picked out kind of my top ones. If you had to focus on just a few ways to use Can We Talk, these were my top ones. So the first is, as a teacher, oh gosh, I often am putting my students into groups. And so one of the things that I think about is, how do I put students into groups? Now that they've all taken their survey, I usually look at who my students are in terms of these personality colors. And then I use those colors to help me make their groups a more balanced group. And we talk about it as a team. If you're in a classroom where maybe you let your students pick groups, I often will say to my students when I was working with them, I would say, just make sure that you at least have one or two other colors represented in your group. And so then they'd have to look around. I would also have students, there is a different resource that's in there. I'd have students write their name on the particular color, and I'd take their picture and I'd put it up in my classroom. And so students have all presented on their colors. We're going to talk about different ways to connect, but that's how they know the colors of the other students in the class, and then they can often talk to them about it. And so you could have students go to 4 corners in the room, and then they have to make sure that they have people from each color. Whatever way you want to build your groups, I think it's important that you really think about how you're doing it. So if you use Jamboard, for instance, you can start to keep track of who you've had in a group. So you might have your students that are here. And the beauty of using Jamboard is, if we have this group option A, then if I want to, after this one, I can go right up here and duplicate this. And now I know what groups they were in for that first group. And now for this next group, I could then organize it and go, okay, I don't want those same students together. And so I could move this one and maybe trade it with a different student who's a green, so we remain having a balanced class or balanced groups. Now, often you're not going to get where it's perfection in terms of numbers. I often find that there are a lot of oranges depending on the grade level that you teach. And so it just depends, but it really is about trying to make them as even as possible so that students can learn from one another and that their best skills can be showcased in a team. And then once you have your groups together, some of the things that are really wonderful to do after we have our groups together is to dive just a little bit deeper. And so the way that I do that is that one of my very favorite activities that I do at the start of the year that I'm going to show you are our Can We Talk slides. And so I'm actually going to take you to this one right now. And this Can We Talk slides, I know that I'm not in the present mode. I'm doing that on purpose, and I'm going to show you why. So these Can We Talk slides are there, and you are more than welcome to, when you're on here, you are more than welcome to make a copy of these. And these are going to be used to help you and your students get to know one another. So these, what I ask of students is that they can decorate either a water bottle, a phone case, a notebook of the particular color that is their prominent color. And then they can create a slide that's all about them. In addition, I have students make a Flipgrid about themselves, introducing their slide. So I'm going to take you through that right now. There are a variety of topics that are here to help them to know some of the things that they could put on the slide and what they could talk about. And then here you'll see, here's my example slide. And in a little bit, you'll get to hear my own Flipgrid that I recorded about myself. But you'll see I have pictures of my family and my 3 kids and my husband's here. And then I decorated my green phone case. So hello, I'm a green, with things that are important to me. And so what I've given you here is a template for these. So if you come down to slide 5, there's a template, and I want to show you this really cool trick. I use this all the time. So if you are not familiar with the gray space, I call it the play space. So I'm going to go to View, Zoom, 50%. And this area that is all around the slide is the gray space, otherwise known as the play space for me. So when I work with students, this gray space is so wonderful. It really is an area where I can put so many things like little stickers that then could be dragged in. So certainly students can find their own stickers that they want to use, but this just makes it so much easier. It saves everybody some time. They can physically drag this into their slide. And so if you are on other slides later, these are here on their own slide and they can be duplicated. All of these slides, if you need any more, you can add more to it. And all of the stickers that we've put in are around the edge, and you could certainly add more. So add all the ones that you'd want and then keep duplicating the slides. You could add logos or things from your own school or your district, whatever you would want that would be great for you and your students is wonderful. So the way that you could do this, you could delete what's here on this part of the slide. And then let's say you are a green like me, you could drag in something that's green like the phone case, and you could make it bigger. And then you could start to decorate it with whatever stickers you want. You could add pictures of your family on the side. So if there were other things that you would want, let's say, oh yeah, I did drama in high school, so maybe I would add that, and I'd need to arrange the order to bring it to the front if a student asks. And then you can always make this smaller or bigger depending on what it is that you need. If you need to find other stickers that aren't here, another tip is to use the Explore button at the bottom here. And we could be searching, let's say maybe their favorite character is a duck, like maybe they want a duck logo or a duck PNG, something, an image that is a duck. And so here we go. Now we could put in a duck image onto our slide. Sometimes I even write the word transparent to just ensure that the image that I'm getting, maybe hopefully we will find out if it is actually transparent. I had a student that was obsessed with rubber duckies, so that made me think about this one and putting that in. So here we are, and you can also have, oh, it looks like this one might be white. Let's double check. Oh, no, it's not. Yay. Okay. And you can always leave this information is basically the copyright information. Sometimes for something like this, it might be easier to remove it so that they can continue to play. But it's great to know that when you're using that Explore button, that as an English teacher, oh gosh, I love that, knowing where you searched for stuff and where it was from. So they can add any of those stickers either from the gray space, the play space, or the Explore button. Those are the 2 areas I have my students use. And then they go ahead and make their slide just like I made mine here. And then they can add whatever it is that they want. When you want to view it back at full screen, we can go back to fitting the screen. And then here we are. So then the next part is that I actually have them record a Flipgrid of themselves introducing themselves and their slide. And so I'm going to show you how we can then use that in the classroom. So I have every student record their Flipgrid. And then what we end up doing is this becomes a class set of slides. So I'm just wanting you to follow the order here. We have this set of slides. I give all of my students edit access to the slides. And just a note, I remind them that I, as the teacher, since I'm the owner of this slide deck, I can see who's done what on the slides. So that helps reduce any issues. And then I also can look in, if you ever have any issue, you can also go right under here under file and version history, and you can see who's done what when. So once I tell that to students, I rarely have had any issues. If anything, it was by accident that someone did something. And so version history lets you recover things, but people are really more worried about making their own slide than touching others. But just in case, I want you to know that that's an option. So I purposefully have this in one slide deck altogether. You certainly could have students do individual decks and then bring it together on your own, but I like it all together because it saves me a step. That's just me. But do whatever works best for you. And so then the next step is that after every student has made their slide and then they're in their groups, the key is before they actually start to work with that group, I ask every student to watch the Flipgrids of their fellow group members. And then they watch them, and then I have them in a Pear Deck. So I've made a Pear Deck of the slide deck that has all the students in the class. So essentially what I end up doing is I take this deck and then I go to my add-ons and I go into open the Pear Deck add-on and I insert another slide after each of the students' slides. And I'm going to show you what that looks like here. And so I end up inserting, so I have my slide and then the students have it has their Flipgrid on it. And then in addition to that, then after that, it has a slide that has people be able to say something or write something about what they learned about the people in their group. So it gives the slide deck that we just made a different way that we can then learn about the people in our class. And I often am thinking about how do we introduce ourselves in a way that everybody gets to really be heard. And this allows every person to share what they want to share and every person to be heard and then to know that they're heard. And then we even have some good question starters or connections that students have been able to take the time to think about. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in the student deck right now. Okay. So this is if you click on this part, it's what I just showed you. This is the student Pear Deck. So I'm going to log in like I'm a student right now here. And we're going to go through like I'm watching my own Pear Deck so that you could see what it would look like from a student perspective. So this is just the first slide that says, check out the slides from your classmates. Please find the slides for the students in your upcoming group and add comments and questions. And so here we go. We're going to listen to my little introduction here. Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about me and my slide and my personality color. My name is Mrs. Rothstein. My students often call me Mrs. R. But if you're watching this not as a student, my name is Steph or Stephanie Rothstein. And you'll see that I have pictures of my family on this slide. We love to go to Disneyland. We're a very big Disney family. We even went to Disney World last summer. And so you'll see that on my green phone case. Speaking of that, I am a green, so I very much am into big picture and questioning very deeply about why something is important. Some other things that you'll notice on my phone case, there's a shirt that's there. My middle daughter actually designed a shirt that was all about things that she cared about, so I put that on there. I went to UC Berkeley. What else can I tell you about me? I'm a Google Innovator and a trainer and a coach. I love to play games. I like to listen to music and sing. I like to eat lots of yummy hummus and other food. And one of my favorite shows that I watch with my husband is Alone, even though I would never survive in the wilderness. That is enough about me for today, and I cannot wait to get to know each and every one of you. Bye, everyone. Okay, so what you can see that I did there was I took each of their Flipgrids that they've turned in, and then I would add it as a URL, as a www, as that option within Flipgrid. I would put that on with their slide. So then as students were going through, they could watch everyone's Flipgrid. And then the next piece is they get to add other pieces here. So let's do it. Okay, so if I'm giving, we're going to pretend like I'm giving some feedback here. So let me just make this a little bit smaller. I wanted to use the type tool. Here we go. So I'm going to say that my name is Steph, and then this is the person that I watched, we're going to just say was Mrs. R. You're going to go with me here. Okay. Okay. And then 3 fun facts about Mrs. R that we learned from this was she loves Disney. She has 3 children. And what else would I say about Mrs. R? Oh, she likes the show Alone. Is her favorite show. Okay, so maybe I would need to add some numbers here. Let's go back up here. There we go. And then that way it can all be separated. Okay, and then for our next one over here, 2 questions and or connections. So what I would do for this one is going to be anybody, they could draw things, but we could certainly write it. So maybe it might be, I might ask a question like, where else would you love to travel if you could go anywhere else? Maybe another thing I could write would be, oh my goodness, my family loves Disney too. I would love to talk to you all about our favorite rides. Okay, so this would be the amazing Pear Deck. And then what I usually do with this then, what I love about this is then I can show it to the person, and it also gives the students a chance to really think about how they want to connect with the people in their group and team. I often find that students need a way, they need some process time to know how to build that connection. So that is one of my favorite ways to do that. And then I want to show you one other fun one. Okay, this is something fun that just is another way to really build some authentic connection and honor students for the great work that they're doing in your room. I love sending something like this home, both to a student and to their family. And so I just want to show you how I make it. So you are more than welcome to try this as I'm doing it. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to pick a background. If you like the background that I have here on this slide, you're more than welcome to use it. I got it on Canva. I made it. It was like a birthday invitation or some other celebration invitation, and I used it as the background on my slide. And then, but you can go anywhere to make a background. And then I put that on the slide, and then I added a GIF. And I have to tell you, the GIF is the student's favorite part. You can use this GIF generator for anything. I used it for vocabulary, but it is one of my favorite pro tips. And I give it at the end of almost every presentation because it's a game changer. So all you need to do is go to, and then I was like.co. You click this button, and then make sure that you've allowed your camera, and then you're going to record yourself. So you can make a little GIF. So here we go. I'm going to record it in 3, 2, 1. And there's my GIF. There we are. I've now made that GIF. And so you can save it. You can start over. If you like your GIF, then you can physically drag it to your desktop. That I find is probably the easiest way. There's lots of other buttons. You can also right click and save it as, but I find the physical drag is very helpful for me. And then you go ahead and you can add it to your slide. So if we go back to my slide, I usually write something. If I'm on, let me find this slide so you can really see it as a slide. So I just put this GIF in right here. I could put in a different GIF now that I've just made this one. Now we have this one. But I often write something about why I'm so glad that this person is my student. And I put in some specifics about them. And then I really make sure that I talk about them, and I do this for at least 3 students. I try to do at the start of the year a couple students each day, and I send those home until I can get through that class. And gosh, does it make a huge difference. It really, really does. As the school year goes on, I try to do a few things each week, but I have to tell you, it is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And then we use these kinds of gifts for everything in the classroom. I use it, as I mentioned, for student vocabulary. I use it as a check-in sometimes to ask how students are feeling. But I hope that that helps to provide you with a variety of ideas of ways to help build connection and true authentic collaboration between students, and between you and your students and students and each other. You could have them send them to each other. Gosh, that would be such a fun idea, right? They could make something about how they appreciate the people in their own group and why. But it really is about giving people a chance to understand one another, to learn, to really listen, and then to make sure that they're grouped in a way that can help support them in learning even more. So I hope that my presentation helped you. You are more than welcome to stay connected with me. I'm on Twitter at Steph Roth EDU, and I'll just end here with a little bit about me and back to building authentic collaboration from the start. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Pear Fair, and it has been my pleasure to be a part of it. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.